Hey everyone, we're going to read Roll With It by Jamie Sumner. And when we left off with our reading, Allie had gone with Coralie and Bert, and they were miniature golfing and then went for something to eat and had a great time. So our next chapter is called Speeches and Ambulances. Speech class with Mrs. Roman is fourth period, right? Before lunch, which makes my topic just about perfect. But when the bell rings at the end of third, all I want to do is throw up and hide. I have to get Bert to carry all my supplies. We make sure we get there early to stash everything up by the whiteboard. There's one speech before mine. Keith demonstrates how to dribble between his legs, but he never looks up at the class, and his ball hits his foot and knocks Mrs. Roman's trash can over. Everybody still claps and whistles, though, because he's on the basketball team. While Keith is cleaning up the trash, I remind myself, make eye contact, pause, enunciate, ask for questions. This is the first time I'm going to have to talk to the entire class, and they will have to talk back. Class participation is part of their grade too. I cough into my elbow when Keith sits down and say a quick prayer. Then I roll forward as Mrs. Roman calls my name. I've never baked in front of anyone before or had to narrate it like I'm on a cooking show. It's weird, like I'm one of those kids with their own YouTube channel. With Bert as my assistant, I take the class step by step through the cookie recipe I was making on Saturday. It was the miniature golf that gave me the idea. Bill and Will made something amazing because it was something they loved. They didn't care if anybody else liked it or thought it was strange. So I decided to do the same thing. I would do something I'm good at, even if nobody else cared. I set out the flour and butter in bowls. Nobody says anything. But technically, I guess they aren't supposed to yet. When Bert drops the cookie sheet, it sounds like a thunderclap and everyone jumps. But it finally gets me talking. I begin to explain the history of a snowball cookie, otherwise known as a Mexican wedding cookie, or a Russian tea cake, I say. Keith starts to text under his desk, and only about a third of the class is even watching what I'm doing. But then once I begin to scoop out the dough and roll it in the powdered sugar, people start to lean forward to try to see in the bowl. Sierra raises her hand. She actually raises her hand to ask a question and not to fix her hair or pass a note. At first, I don't know what to do. You're not supposed to take questions until the end. But then I nod to her because my hands are busy, and she says, "What's the ice cream scoopy thing?" This? I hold up a metal scoop I'm using to portion the dough. This is actually a melon baller that I found in my grandma's kitchen drawer, but they make real great cookie scoops, and I'm going to get one once I become a professional baker. I can't believe I just said that out loud, but Sierra just says, "Cool." Yeah, cool. When the cookies are laid out on the baking sheets, I explain about preheating the oven and cooking time. Then, because I am aiming for a big finish, I pull out a Tupperware filled with snowballs. I made them yesterday and pass it around. Everybody cheers, and Sierra takes two because, as I said, we are only minutes away from lunch and the whole class is starving. I get more claps than Keith, and all that's left when the container gets back to me is a little pile of powdered sugar. Dear editors and bakers at Southern Living, I found your recipe for almond snowballs in my grandma's 1989 holiday baking issue. I liked the picture, and it seemed like just the thing to make when you're tired of real snow, but still stuck in winter. It was also for a grade in class. It went well, at least I think it did, because I didn't have any left afterward, and everybody clapped. Luckily, I didn't actually have to bake them in front of everybody, because that would have taken 15 minutes of us staring at each other with nothing to do. And also, we don't have an oven in class. I brought in my most perfect batch, but man, are they messy. I think all the powdered sugar stressed out my teacher, but she still ate 3. So thank you for helping me get a good grade and for thinking up a recipe from so many years before I was born that people still like. I get why people want them at their weddings. Many thanks and wishes for warm weather your away, Allie Cowan. Allie was amazing, Bert says at lunch after my speech. Oh, I wish I could have been there. I tried to get Susie to write me a pass, but she said I had to take my history test or I couldn't get to the pageant. Coralie shoves her spoon around her banana pudding. She only gets it for the Nilla wafers. I like her and all, but sometimes I wish it were just me and Dane and the cockatoos. I tear my sandwich into little pieces and then roll them into balls. It's hot in the cafeteria, and the 2 snowballs I ate in class are making me feel funny. I wish I had bought water instead of a Coke. But I'm so happy that my speech is over and it went well that I don't even care. You guys, they looked at me, and it wasn't just to laugh or to check out my chair. Who? Coralie asked. Everybody, the townies, Mrs. Roman, the whole class. I spread my arms wide. Like I said, Bert nods, she was amazing. Well, don't get used to it, Coralie says, pointing her spoon at me. What? I let my arms fall on the table. Coralie looks over to where Sierra and her friends are trading bags of chips. I said, don't get used to it. And then she looks at me. A townie's a townie for life. My stomach swirls and gurgles, and I press into it with my fist. And what about us? I say, punching at my lunch bag like bread dough. Are we trailer kids for life? Honestly, she looks from me to Bert. Yes, we are. I wait for her to say she's kidding, but she doesn't. Bert stares at his hands. Why are you being like this? I hate it that my voice has gone all high, but I can't help it. Like what? Mean. And like you can't even let me be happy for 1 second. I feel the beginning of tears, but blink hard. I am not going to cry at the lunch table. Why can't you just let me be normal? There's a pause that feels like a million years, and then Coralie taps my chair. Allie, honey, you'll never be normal. And then I do start to cry. So I back away, roll fast down the hall, turn the corner into the gym, and throw up all over the court. Oh my gosh, poor Allie. We will stop there and we'll find out what happens tomorrow. What do you think of Coralie's comments? Do you think that maybe she was a little envious of the positive attention that Allie was getting and kids recognizing her talent and, enjoying her company? All right, think about that and we'll talk tomorrow. Bye.